Hi, I'm Ash from Outlier. This is the first video in a series of videos to show you how Chinese characters actually work. Okay, this video is about the three attributes of a functional component. In Chinese, that would be called 偏旁的三个属性. The first attribute we're going to talk about today is form. Form is what the component is a picture of. And I say picture because, strictly speaking, early Chinese characters were not pictures, rather they were picture-like symbols that were used to record spoken language. The second attribute is meaning. Meaning refers to the meaning that a component brings to a character. Sometimes components' form and meaning are the same, but then sometimes they differ a lot. So today we're going to look at examples of both types. The third attribute is sound. And sound refers to the pronunciation that a component represents within a character. And strictly speaking, what that actually is talking about is there's a spoken word that has a pronunciation and the written symbol, which is a character, is used to write that pronunciation. But that pronunciation ends up being associated with a certain form. Okay? So that's what we mean when we say sound. Now we're going to look at three examples of components whose form and meaning are very similar. The first example is ren. The form of ren is a side view of a person. And it also means person. So its form and its meaning are basically the same. And its sound is ren. The second example we're going to look at is quan. Quan is actually a picture of a dog. However, it's not written horizontally like we would today, but rather it's written this way. Now, its form is a dog, its meaning is dog, and its sound is quan. The third example of components whose meaning and forms are basically the same is yang. The form of yang is a sheep, the front view of a sheep. Its meaning is sheep, and its sound is yang. Actually, though, these components can also have a more general meaning. For instance, ren might not point to just a single person, but rather people in general or things having to do with people. And quan can actually point to animals in general, not necessarily just dogs. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, now we're going to have a look at three examples where the form and the meaning differ significantly. The first example of these is yo. Yo has a form of a right hand. Now, that might not be immediately obvious looking at the modern form, but if you look at the earlier forms here, you can see that it looks like a three-fingered hand. Now, the ancient Chinese obviously didn't have just three fingers. This is an outline. This shows the important parts of a hand rather than they're not trying to draw a accurate representation of a hand. They're just trying to draw enough of it to give you the idea of a hand. And now with the modern form, it's not as obvious that it's a hand because of stylization. As you can see, the top stroke there kind of folds over. Okay, so yo has the modern meaning, which is again. Now this meaning pretty much never appears in characters. The meaning that yo often brings to characters has to do with hand, basically. And its sound, well, I've already said it a couple of times, but it's yo. Another thing that's very important to note here is that what's really important as far as meaning or form-wise is what was the original meaning or the original form of the character. Okay, it's not the modern meaning, it's not the name of a component, but rather its original meaning. For example, chi is often called shuangrenpang, and that's because if you look at renzipang or danrenpang, it kind of looks like two people. But actually, it's not people at all. Chi is actually the left half of the character xing, which means to go. And the form for xing is a road crossing, basically an intersection of two roads. The modern names of components are not reliable indicators of their meaning. The second example of a component whose form and meaning differ significantly is da. The form of da is an adult person standing on the ground, basically a front view of a person like this. Its meaning is big and its sound is da. The last example is jian. Jian's form is a picture of a person with a huge eye. Now they do that in order to emphasize the meaning to see. And obviously its sound is 见. To review, each functional component has three attributes: form, meaning, and sound. Now these attributes are the basis of the functions that components play in characters. In other words, they're the basis for what roles a component can play inside of a character. In future videos, we'll explain each of the functions that a component can play in a character. In other words, what kind of roles can a component play in a character. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and if you're really into the origins and development of Chinese characters, check out our blog. See you next time!